recording in process.
Okay, are you ready? Hey, good people. Just look, just let you know she changed her glasses like 10 times, and then she had on shades and she's in the house. I'm not really sure what that's about. But anyway,
It took us 20 times to start this video. She's been saying she's ready for 30 minutes.
right. But now we're ready. So we're going to talk about how dark is dark enough because so many things is happening in the world, and we want to be consumed with the president and other things. And we can be aware. Yes, we should be aware, but we should not allow this to consume us. And the consume. Can you hear the background?
A little bit, but it's not that loud.
Okay. Sorry, good people out there. Hopefully, it's not distraction. It's not a distraction. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we might kind of dip and dab about the mysteries of God because we were talking about that earlier, how we believe in God, we talk to him, and we can't see him. And there was some other stuff that you was talking about, Teish,
Mm-hmm.
that's what made us say, okay, let's do this Zoom besides the fact of being dark enough. But just kind of piggyback on what you were talking about, the mysteries of God.
Okay, so I was listening to this preacher, prophet, etc. And the person was just talking about the struggle. You know, everybody wants this anointing or to be a prophet or specific anointing, but they don't see the behind the scenes.
Right,
And
the cost.
yes, the prophet was talking about how, you know, went through tough times, um, got to fight off demons every day, witches, warlocks, etc. But was blessed with,
Mm-hmm,
a house, 5 bedroom, but single and alone.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So, okay, great. Yeah, the blessing you see, deliverance. Also, the prophet talked about a family member and how she couldn't heal her family member, but she can go around healing everybody else, strangers
mm-hmm,
at that. And honestly, she said if she can, she asked if she can be real. She was
mm-hmm,
mad at God because God's telling her to heal strangers, and the minute
mm-hmm.
they believe a lie, they're gonna tarnish her name, throw out the window.
Right.
She can't even
Mm-hmm,
heal her own brother. So that's just the challenging part, and I feel a lot of um chosen chosen people go through that.
uh-huh. Many are called, but few are chosen. Go ahead.
A lot of chosen people go through that because it's like, you can pour into everybody else, or sometimes your gift
Mm-hmm,
is what you sometimes is what you struggle with the most.
uh-huh.
So you can the gift of what's it?
Discernment,
You can
prophecy, teaching,
not even gonna do all of that. Let's just go back to she has the
evangelizing.
thing of laying hands and healing.
Mm-hmm,
She sees signs and wonders, but she can't do for her own family. So that's like the challenging part. Like you don't see every day, and then it's like, yo, you're really like the walk sometimes can get lonely. And I was saying I understand how there's atheists sometimes. Like if if
mm-hmm.
if you really think of it, like I just had an outer body experience. Like if you really think of it, like, oh, I was saying that there's no way, like she gotta go to heaven. And what did you say?
There is way that she may not make it to heaven. But I
Right.
said only because we tend to get into the flesh. We have our gifts. We do what the Lord say do, but then, excuse me, we tend to forget about God and solely depend on the gift that's given by Him. And then by us forgetting about Him and we just keep moving on the gifts, then we become self-centered and fleshly bound, where
Hmm.
we're only dealing with the flesh and the gift, not the anointing that comes with it.
Right. And then
And we must have him. So
mhm.
go ahead.
Uh, and then I was saying, like, I didn't mean it in that way, but
Mm-hmm.
I had to actually, because that was good to say. But it's
Right.
just like you struggle with all of this, like loneliness. You could be single for like, some people are meant to be single to
Hmm.
dedicate their entire life. You dedicate your entire life, you get publicly humiliated, right?
Right.
You
Talked
get
about,
talked
bashed.
about, bashed, and you can't, your family's struggling. And it's like there's no way that you should suffer this much. Like you should want to suffer this much and not make it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I meant. Like there's no way you can't,
Yeah.
because it is all the sacrifices you're doing on earth. Like you just, I don't
We
know.
just got to make it.
You
Well,
got
the
to.
sad thing is, we got to make sure we keep him first,
Right, right.
which
That's
is
what
so
I'm trying
easy to
to.
do. Not, well, it's so easy not to do because we're in the flesh, we're natural in the body. And just talking about that, I sit there and think about it also, me working with the homeless population. We all want these houses. Like you said, the lady had a house with 5 bedrooms and it's just her. The purpose of that, I'm not sure. Maybe she has family that come out of town often. That way they don't have to go into a hotel. But so many times we stress these natural things, a home. We want 5 bedrooms. We want a downstairs to entertain. We want a wonderful backyard. We want a deck. We want all of these things. And I sit there and say, well, where did Jesus live?
Brother man was homeless, okay? Brother man ain't
Every
had no
time I turn around,
house.
he's just walking and talking,
And I bet he wore
walking and
barefoot, what,
healing.
one sandal. He ain't had no what y'all call it, them Crocs and them Birkstones,
Right. The
Birkenstocks.
look like the bling blings. Well, that's the females, right? Hopefully. But he didn't have the Tims. He
Right.
didn't have all these other name brand things. And I want to stress now, and the purpose of this is because the way the world is going, and there are things to come, because the Bible is right, prophecies will come forth. And meanwhile, I've had people, and somebody else said to me, they were like, oh, well, do you think Trump is the Antichrist? And I said, first of all, if we read the Bible, understand it, we would know that he's not. But that's
Because,
a whole message at another time. But
okay.
that's why us born again believers, Christ followers, need to read, pray, and fast so that we can get an understanding, we can gain wisdom and sup with him. Okay, I was getting ready to say something else, but that kind of just threw me off because of the world and stuff is to come. And we really need to be focusing on him. Like we were talking about, that's what it was. We was talking about him being homeless. And every time he turned around, he would go up to the mountain or go somewhere to talk to the Lord and leave his fellow believers. And we're so caught up. It's bothersome. That's my new word. It's bothersome because we're so caught up with the natural. And I said, Lord, if we could just get back in tune with you. The older saints didn't have this education, didn't have all this technology, but they had power. And the Lord wants to bring back signs and wonders, but he has to have a people that's ready. Just like we talk about revival, but we got to be ready. He's not going to send things and we're not ready because then we'll make a mess and make a mockery.
I mean, it's a lot of mockery.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest. And I sit there and be like, man, this is a big world out here and there's so much to talk about. But I was reading something, right? And it reminded me of the times of Noah. I don't know if you hear people talk about that in the days of Noah. I kind of feel like we're in those days. And unfortunately, the world was full of corruption and violence, just like it is now. And in Lot's time, Sodom and Gomorrah, they were overran by sexual immorality, which we see a lot about that now on the TV. Remember back in the day? I mean, you're still young, but
So,
right, yeah,
I
you're still
wasn't
young.
born
But let's try.
in 2016,
Okay, let's try. Anyway, let's try like let's try like 10, 15 years ago. Do you remember seeing say like a lot of cursing on TV, like the F word?
hmm
10, 15 years ago, you did remember seeing that? Like an F word. They might have said B's or SHIT.
they blurt it out usually.
Right. Okay, right. But now there's no blurred out.
Mm-mm.
Now they just say it.
Yeah. But I don't watch TV that much, but yeah.
Right. But what you do see, and back in the day, they didn't show too many sexual types of scenes. It was left to your imagination. Now they pretty much show everything.
I mean, cameras in room dang near.
Right. They show everything except for the X. What is it? The triple X rated.
No,
That's
they
when you
show
go
that
by the.
too.
No, the triple X rated is those porn movies.
Oh.
Right. They do that too. No, they don't show that one. You got to actually go buy that. But but I
Now
was
what you know
reading and I was
about?
like, oh,
Never mind. Never mind my business. Anyways.
exactly. I'm grown, and I'm old. You learn, you hear, you listen, you watch, you pay attention. Things happen. Just thank God that the Lord covered your ear gates
Can we
and
just move
covered your
on?
eyes.
Can we-
Yes. So now, okay, this is what I thought was so profound. I said, oh my gosh, this is just like what we're doing now. So there's more things that kind of like enslaved than back in the day in history, right? And so many times we talk about Christianity, the law of God. And I mean, it's unfortunate, along with um, like racism. I'm saying racism, but I wanted to say something else. So we tend to get fixated on these things. And meanwhile, we are celebrating immorality by marketing it as entertainment. And I said, this is why the saints of old did absolutely nothing, because all it takes is a little something to slip in.
Don't leave
Just,
no room
just
for the devil.
don't leave none.
That's what
And
it's
we also we right, and we also bless such immorality in our churches. Shh, not your church. I'm not my church. Other churches, by approving of homosexuality. So many times we don't want to talk about not just that. I'm talking about sin, period. But that seems to be prominent. The drag queen. Every show has homosexuality in it somehow, some way. Throwing out prayer, pushing the agenda, pushing a narrative, all of that. And then the question is, okay, how dark is dark enough before we sit there and say, God, please have mercy on America. Please have mercy on my family. Please have mercy on me. Instead of being consumed with the world and what they keep putting out there in the media. And then we want to be talking about it in the barbershop, and we want to go to the hairdresser and talk about it. Oh, this and that, this and that. Anybody want to talk about Jesus? And stuff is to come. And we need to pray that he prepares us.
But you know why? That's because one, we become a nation of um biblical illiteracy. We don't read.
Mm-hmm.
We don't read. We don't read.
Nothing.
Like,
It's bad enough we don't read the Bible, but we don't read no books
no,
either.
I'm talking about the Bible.
Right,
But
I know.
how you gonna read the Bible? And you don't read the Bible, but you think you're gonna be able to see or hear, see and hear.
And witness. So
So
they out there. The devil know the Bible just as much. You
right,
killing that?
yeah, it was in that. I
You,
had to look
you,
up the definition.
they like that, like lotion.
You
Okay,
focused
back
on
to
the
what
wrong
we.
thing. The wrong thing you focused on.
Right, see, exactly, because it was a distraction. Come on, somebody.
I'm not giving offering. No, but for real, like a lot of like I've been trying to minister and be a witness to my friends, but a lot of people do not read. There's so many people who are Christians who aren't followers of Christ. You know what I'm saying?
Right, what do you mean by that? Elaborate.
Elaborate. Okay, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil.
elaborate, elaborate, data.
A lot of people say Christian, they're Christian, right? but don't read the Bible. So Christian has just become a branch of this general, I believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. That's the Christian kind of foundation. But I say Christ follower is when you're actually reading and trying to live like Christ. But how you
Hmm.
gonna live like Christ if you don't know how to live, how he lived and what to do, what to look for, and it's just a lot of people are Christian. Like I started reading, like really started reading, I say last year,
Hmm.
a year before that. Yeah, last year. And it's like, yo, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And the more you read, the more you see, the more you hear, the more connected you are to God. But like a lot of people, a lot of Christians go to church on Sunday, never read their Bible, and it's just become a habitual, I'm Christian on Sunday. And it's like the goal of a church is to make disciples, right? How are you gonna make
Great
disciples
Commission.
if
Yes.
you do not read or you don't know how to be a disciple? Disciple is a Jesus follower. That's literally like hand in hand, disciple, Jesus follower. And Christian is not in the Bible. Christian, the word Christian is not in the Bible. Disciple, like, and we get lost in translation. That's the problem. That's the problem right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, let me just throw a scripture out there, right, about the how dark is dark enough. Revelation 22 and 11. He who is unjust, let him be unjust still. He who is filthy, let him be filthy still. He who is righteous, let him be righteous still. He who is holy, let him be holy still. I have read that, and that kind of coincides with dark. How dark is dark enough? Because it's kind of like, okay, if you we already it makes sense about he who is holy, let him be holy still, but and righteous, of course. But it's like, okay, filthy and unjust is kind of like, okay, Lord, don't you want them to be just? Don't you want them to be filthy? I mean, not filthy versus being it still. But what happens is if we don't turn to God and be saved, then
Right.
what are you?
Now go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. If we then it's kind of like, okay, um, if you're gonna be that, then be that.
With your chest.
I'm just talking. And it's like he knows everything. We already know that he knows everything. But it's kind of like, okay, if you're gonna be that, then be that. And or change your ways. You can't be the in between, the lukewarm, as we always talk about. And this is why we also talk about people being turned over to a reprobated mind.
See, that's why I did this. I knew he's going there.
Oh, that's right. Okay, okay.
I was waiting. I was waiting.
Okay, okay. Spirit, what's the saying? Flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you. Okay, so and then to harden your heart, and God can actually allow your heart to be hardened or
I don't like
harden it.
that. I don't like that.
But that's another message at another time because we can't go digging deep into it. Next time we'll dig deep. But that's the thing. And I was like, unjust still, like just be that. But this is what we're saying, and that's the question of, okay, how dark is dark enough? Like how far will you go and have to go for the Lord to do what He does? I mean, the sad thing is we've mentioned this before that the Lord could use you, pretty much what you're saying, what you had said, and it's like you're doing all of this, you going through, and ain't no way you're going to hell. And it's like, yeah, unfortunately, that happens.
like, wait, let me articulate this better. I might have yes, and the five bedroom house, that's none of our business. I'll just throw that out there
Right.
because you can be, and
Right.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
you get blessed, but you still
Yeah. Of course.
lonely
And if you can afford it, you can afford it. Yeah.
mhm. I mean, even never mind. Conversation for a different time. You know. Okay. But the whole thing was that you can have all of this and still and just still struggle. Still struggle eternally, but you're still being used. Like it's so much that you don't see. People always want what they don't have until they
Hmm.
have it. And then
And
now,
then want something else.
like you can still have all of this and go down there. But I was saying before because I understand how like the atheist is just like, yo, if you really think about it, you do all this struggling, and eternity, like you're going to hell for eternity. What does eternity mean? When you try to think about it, like you just it's a hard thing to grasp.
Hmm.
And like if you really think about it from I guess flesh, whatever humanistic perspective, we believe in a God. We rely and believe in a God we've never seen, right? And our only
Hmm.
experience, I mean, our only uh connection is from experience. So it's
In
like,
relationship.
yeah, experience relationship,
Hmm.
but eternity.
Right. Eternity, death.
Sorry. Yeah, but
Good night. I'm about to put thumbs down.
that's crazy though. So I was just thinking like I could see how people be walling out, but you just gotta know for yourself. Okay, sorry. I can't articulate nothing when I get on Zoom.
I'm gonna be down too.
How did you even
Mine's
do
better.
that? Go like little kids,
Don't hate, don't hate, don't hate. Next time, next time.
works with technology and know how to do that.
Right. So you talking about the mystery, death. Um, even knowing him, oh, hater.
Sorry, go
Definition
ahead.
of hater, Tisha.
Oh, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, okay, so the mysteries, you're talking about the mysteries, death, relationship, and you can understand the atheist. But the
It,
thing is,
it's just I see why they question. I don't understand, but I see why they can question. That's what
well, logic.
yeah.
So because our little pea brain can't understand certain things, so you can understand, although you may disagree
Hmm.
with how they're thinking. And I wanted to mention too the I had watched a video, a little clips of somebody saying it was like five people talking, and it kind of blew my mind. And somebody they said, okay, whoever believes Satan is will sit down. Only one person sat down. One looked like they might have been hesitant. And they asked him, why were you hesitant? And you were going to sit down, but you decided not to. And he said, because I'm not sure if I believe that. Right. So the guy was saying, he believed that Satan is evil. And he gave his explanation, which made sense. And then a lady sat down and was like, okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start with Genesis. Let's say, Adam and Eve, they sinned because they ate from the tree of knowledge. And Satan was the one that helped them eat from it. But why is it considered him to be evil when maybe God lifted himself up so highly that he didn't want nobody to know what he knows?
The question
So
was,
Satan,
do you believe Satan was evil, right? Or not if he
right.
okay.
And so she was saying pretty much why she didn't think that he was evil because he was a fallen angel. He fell down maybe because he wanted to help man understand certain things that like God instead of allowing God to be our master. I'm paraphrasing, but this is the concept. So he came and he pretty much gave her insight to the tree of knowledge where it's not just God that understands it. Now man understands. So that's not necessarily evil. And maybe he's looking out for man by doing that. And somebody stated, yeah, the first person to initiate equality. In my head, I said, oh my goodness. Logic can make you understand that. And if you're not rooted in what you believe and convicted, I could see how somebody can sway.
Biblical illiteracy. That's why they don't read. See, they add in, they take in and add in.
Exactly. But then again, if you're not rooted, and then the guy said, well, he was very good. He said God wanted us to be unashamed and to be in harmony with him. And then somebody said, yeah, stupid and naked. And if you're not careful, then you really can believe this stuff. And I was just like, wow. I mean, there's some other things, and I had spoken with my aunt, and she said, she's seen a few of those, and they really can sway you if you're not rooted because they let logic kick in, not the relationship with God, not the fact that He is master over all, and He is Lord of lords and King of kings. They're looking at people being on the same wavelength.
And that's what,
No,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just going to say, just like your boss. Nobody sit there and get mad at the boss for being above you.
And that's why it's so important to read. Like, it's so important to read because part of being a witness is being able to articulate that, because you never know when you may run into somebody who genuinely has questions like that.
Right.
Like there was a question, um, was it like why do they say Jesus is God's son? But then like how are they the same if it was God's son? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you explain that? Yeah, I know.
Well, right. It's tough to explain it. I would have to get some Bibles and scriptures and all of that to articulate it properly. But the reason why they don't understand it is because of, again, logic. Okay, we got God. He allowed himself to come down here to be in flesh
And they was
as
like, when he
Jesus.
was down here, who was running? Who was running the show? So they
Right. God was still running the show. He just allowed Jesus to come down as
mhm.
flesh because he's just that God and he can do whatever he chooses to do and whenever and however and why.
And that's like that's see now I'm in my seat, I'm down. But look, like I don't know why I cannot articulate it. Maybe it's not meant for me to say right now. But if you think about it, I see I lost it just like that. Go ahead. It's not meant for me to articulate tonight.
Well, what was it about? First of all, it's your night and not my day.
Sorry. Like
About what? Like, what was the?
I can't, it slips my mind. Every time I try to think of it, it slips my mind. Because I was supposed to say something more about the prophet struggle and stuff, but it keeps every time I talk about it, it slip my mind. It slipped.
Well,
So
maybe just the fact that we are here. All of us are called to something, and we are to allow our gifts to push forth. But whatever God gives us is always for someone else. It's not for us. So that's why, yeah, He can give me the gift of healing, and I'm healing everyone else but my family because my purpose is for someone else. Even though, yes, my family is someone else, but it's mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get your mind going, but
not every like when you
right.
talk about it,
And
I'm like, dang, I don't know why I couldn't. And then when I try to speak, it goes away. So
okay, well that's all right.
I don't want
But
to keep
the thing is,
talking about it.
we got to get bold and courageous enough to do the will of the Lord. Period. And remember not to get so consumed in the world's doing and all of this stuff that keeps coming across the nation because he's coming back sooner than later. People be like, oh, they've been saying that for years. Yeah, well now it's sooner than before. And
Mm.
we got to focus on that. I sit there and say, wow, sometimes even us born again believers, we talk so much about this and that. And I'm like, man, well, where's the conversation about the Lord? even if you're stressed out and say, Lord, help me out. I've been look like this week I've been traumatized with work. Some stuff was going on, and I mentioned it, but I didn't let it sit there and not talk about the goodness of the Lord or the fact that the Lord is warning us about certain things and we got to prepare. And Christianity, as they call it, and yet it's like everything is still about the wrong things.
It's because, see, I remember, I'm not gonna say, don't worry about it. That's
Mm-hmm.
gone. That's it's become such a blessing type of teaching. Everything is associated with blessing. That's why we be so messed up. Like we we as a culture quick to preach about blessing. You're gonna be blessed. God's gonna give you this. God's gonna give you that. But it's like we scared to really get into it. Like, okay, you're gonna be blessed. Okay, cool. But you have to live like this. You have to live right. You cannot keep living in sin. What is sin? What type of sin is sin? And just because you sin differently than somebody else, and they say you're not supposed to judge, you are supposed to judge. You're supposed to help each other out. Like we
Judge
just,
rightly.
yes, thank you. Clap your hands for Jesus. But but it's just like we we just I don't know what's going on. We don't talk about heaven. We don't talk about hell. There's a certain amount of preachers speak about heaven, hell, demons, demonology, living right, how to live right, holiness, sanctification, your heart posture. Like that's what I want to hear about. Don't tell me I'm gonna be blessed every daggone Sunday. I don't want to hear that.
Right, because you already know that you will be.
Right. And then you can be blessed and on your way to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm about to get tight.
That make that another topic.
Blessed and on your way to hell. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Again, how dark can it be? How dark is dark enough?
Right.
Or it's like, does it have to get darker? I'm like, Lord, do y'all see this world?
The word, yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? But we so consumed with certain things, and I'm just like, man, we got this sickness coming about. Okay, COVID took place, and now this, I don't know what it is, but they calling it the flu, but it's a bad flu or a virus or whatever. So something else is out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not it. There was two rivers that was red. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was
It
full
was
of blood or just red, whatever the case
clay.
is.
I think it was clay.
Clay that turned red.
Like the erosion from the clay.
Hmm.
I
Two
think,
different places.
yeah, and I think it's Euphrates. Both in Euphrates.
I'm talking about now.
In the Euphrates River.
But I'm saying it's two different places. I don't think it was. It's one. It's two different rivers.
I thought it was both in two places in Euphrates. But
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I don't know.
Look, I don't know. I just know that's something I didn't read up on. So that's something that I got to read and gain some more knowledge of. But these are things that's happening, and even slavery that's in other places because we don't see it. We don't think it's happening.
Hmm.
All this sex trafficking, the kids missing. It's a lot of stuff going on that we need to really be praying about. Even on this entertainment, the devil is busy. He's seeking whom he may devour for real, for real. And if we're not paying attention, all of these false prophets are on the rise. Satan has definitely enlarged his camp, and we have to be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the word,
How do you become unmovable?
in the word,
See?
and
See?
having a relationship with the Lord.
See what I'm saying?
Back to
See?
reading.
I wish I
Back
had
to
two
reading.
glasses. I'm gonna put both on.
Back to reading.
But okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. How dark is dark enough? You be saying I'm gifted with with discernment, right? I agree, but how do you stop Valentine's Day is over?
That was the two glasses. Okay, go ahead.
But like what I see is
Wait, this is
every
gonna be another
time,
topic. I know
no,
we kind of
I
just
mean
chatting, but
I
okay.
feel like it's they're the lines.
Okay, okay, okay.
Even as a kid, like I'm never going with the masses. Like if y'all like, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar, since he's a hot topic, I don't like Kendrick. I just don't like it. Something in me just don't like what the masses like. And that's the way of the world now. It's like everybody is so concerned with whatever is popular. It's like y'all don't see, how do you not see the what is it? The thing that's being pushed back from the distraction.